This is the new Colnago V4RS, the latest top-end racing machine from the prestigious Italian brand.
It's just launched. We've got a pair of them and we're going to tell you everything about them.
We're going to weigh the new bikes and go through Colnago's aero claims that they've produced in their white paper, as well as show you all the new features and details.
We can't wait. Let's get into it.
So here they are, and if the V4RS looks familiar, that's because you may have seen one before. The teams were actually using them at the Tour de France earlier in the year, and Tadej Pogačar actually rode a prototipo, that's Italian for prototype, version at the Tour, and it replaces the V3RS, which was the bike that he used to win the 2020 and 21 Tours de France.
We have two here, one in the livery colours of UAE Team Emirates and one in the UAE Team ADQ. Now they both have this really nice kind of silver black fade with a brushed silver logo. Mine is obviously in the women's team colours with a really nice kind of rainbow bits dotted around the frame, and Ollie's is just red and black.
Yeah.
But both really nice, but let us know down in that comment section below which one you prefer.
Yeah.
Definitely this one, let's be honest. Come on. Gorgeous.
I do like yours actually. Overall, the silhouette is very similar to the outgoing model. However, there have been tweaks to the shape all over the place to improve aerodynamics, the result of which we will discuss later on. A notable improvement to the new bike is the head tube, which now has a more hourglass shape to it because the upper bearing has increased in diameter. This allows them to use a conventional round steerer tube rather than a D-shaped one, yet still have space inside for the internal cable routing. In theory, this should allow them to make the steerer tube stiffer. Now, you've also got hidden in the top of it this integrated multi-tool, which I can pull out there. Same sort of deal as what we saw on the Colnago C68 earlier in the year. And this actually decreases in size if you've got a smaller size frame, which is quite interesting, but it's got a lot of useful tools on it. There's aero features dotted throughout the frame, but you can see one here that's just behind the fork crown, just to help improve the airflow coming off the front of the fork and the front wheel. And overall, the tyre clearance has been increased slightly on the bike, so it's now up to 32 millimetres.
Other details, both bikes are kitted out with Shimano Durace Di2 group set and NV wheels.
Why? I hear many of you ask. I can already feel the disturbance in the force, as if thousands of you are at home furiously typing on your keyboards, crying out that, well, a Colnago should only have Campagnolo components on it.
Well, hold your horses, keyboard warriors. This is what we understand both UAE teams will be using in 2023.
Yeah.
Hence why we have them on these bikes.
Yeah, they've switched to Shimano. You've also got dropped stays, a nice integrated D-shaped seat post and clamp, and things such as the chainstay length alter with respect to the size of the frame that you ride.
Yeah, so one of those ickle ones feels just as responsive as one of those gate things that Connor rides.
Indeed. There's a new bar and stem too, so it looks similar to the one that's on the C68, but it's actually new for the V4RS. It's designed to help make the bike more aerodynamic, and you can see when you sort of look at it down here just how narrow this top section of it is, especially in relation to the top tube of the bike. And I'm also a massive fan that they've included Ceramic Speed's SLT bearings in the headset as well. These, if you're unfamiliar, that stands for solid lube technology. So rather than having sort of conventional liquid lube in the bearings, they have a polymer that holds the bearings in place, and it should last way longer, probably the lifetime of the bike.
Anyway, enough of our yakking. Here's what Tour de France champion Tadej Pogačar thinks of his new bike.
For sure, it's more stiff and more responsive. So when you stand up, you feel better response, better reacting, and for sure this helps in the peloton, in the fast races, and attacking and sprinting. So this was for me the biggest change.
Hang on a second, Ollie. Isn't the C68 the best bike Colnago do?
Great question, Manon. Thanks for asking. Yes, the C68 is a sublime bike, but it's not designed to be the fastest all-out race machine. In the same way as a front-engined Ferrari GT car is an incredible piece of luxury Italian engineering, it's never going to be the fastest around a track. For that, you'd want a mid-engined Ferrari. And the V4RS is that kind of thing. It's got a greater emphasis on lightweight and aerodynamics.
Great analogy actually there, Ollie, because especially when you consider that the original V1 was in collaboration with the Prancing Horse.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. I thought so too. Thanks, Manon.
Good work.
Right, on to my favourite topic, aero. How aero is the new one? Well, Colnago's done a bunch of testing, and they've done this with the bike in isolation, but also with the bike and a rider pedalling.
All the data presented has been done at 50 kilometres per hour. Now, that might seem quite fast to many of us, and, well, me and you don't really spend that much time at 50 kilometres per hour unless we're descending. But it is relevant to the pros, however, because they spend a lot of time at that speed. And at the end of the day, this bike has been developed to help them win the world's biggest races.
Yeah, another interesting thing about the aero analysis they've done on the bike is that it was performed with a bike with 2 bottle cages and 1 bottle. This sounds a bit strange, but the guys at Colnago, they reckon that at the most crucial points of a race, that's the way the bike is set up. Apparently, you ditch one of your balls. Quite interesting. That must be what Pogačar does.
Maybe that's why we don't win races.
That's probably it,
yeah. Definitely it.
The take-home messages are that the new bike is said to be 4% faster, which equates to 5.2 watts in weighted average drag when the bike is on its own without a rider. This does jump up quite a bit though when you switch out the wheels for an unspecified set that Colnago doesn't say what they are in the white paper, and you also put on the new integrated aero computer mounts, which unfortunately we don't have here. But with those changes, the bike is said to be 16% faster, and that equates to 19.2 watts in weighted average drag.
And when you introduce a pedalling rider into the system, Colnago says that the rider and the bike is 3% faster or 13.2 watts at 50 kilometers per hour. But then with the unspecified wheels, it becomes 6% faster or 27.7 watts. But the Colnago, yeah, and it is, isn't it? And the Colnago's engineers have done loads of testing on loads of different wheels, but the fastest ones are the best ones that they've found. But wheels are quite system dependent, aren't they?
Yeah, very system dependent, and I think the key thing to remember with these savings is that once you actually scale them down into speeds that most of us ride at, yeah, the wattage numbers become considerably lower, but it's still a gain, and I'll take it. And overall, I think big takeaways from the data that they've published is that, well, computer mounts out front, they actually make probably more difference than most people thought, something to consider for the future. And also, wheels and wheel choice makes a huge impact.
It does.
I'd love to know what wheels they are that are the fastest ones.
It's a big secret, isn't it?
Yeah. When new bikes are launched, you often see weight figures thrown around, but it's not always entirely clear what they are. You don't know what size it is often, and is it a painted frame, an unpainted frame? Does it have bearings or parts installed within the frame? So it's nice to see that Colnago has been really clear and transparent with the data that it's supplied. We'll put that on screen now so that you can see it.
So a bare unpainted V3RS in a size 50 is a weight of 795 grams compared to 798 grams of the V4RS in the equivalent size of a 48. Now that is slightly heavier, but there is, lighter forks on this bike, and the hardware that goes into the bike is slightly lighter too. So it is a weight saving of 57 grams. But what I want to know is how that weight translates to the Pro Spec build.
Yeah, well, we've got the scales of truth with us.
Here they are.
So we're going to weigh them. Mine is a size 54, according to the geometry chart, and yours is what?
45S.
Right, well, place your bets now. Let me turn them on, see what it comes out as. This is with a bottle and with my speed play pedals on.
7.74. I think I'm just very weak. What does it say?
6.8.
Whoa! Now there might not be that much difference in weight, but Colnago have put a massive effort into improving the ride quality, stiffness and handling of the bike.
And while it's not surprising for a bike brand to say that their new model is stiffer than the last one, Colnago's approach is pretty unique. So normally when we see a new bike break cover, it's in its final finished form. But they were very open about the fact that the bike that was being ridden at the Tour de France this year wasn't finished and was a prototipo.
Yes, Ollie. They actually made multiple different versions of the new bike.
Yeah, multiple prototipo.
Yes, Ollie, but they actually took their 5 most promising carbon layups, which all offer different levels of stiffness and comfort, and then they actually let the pro teams ride them in, real race situations, and then they decided which ones are best.
Yeah, the pros also had a lot of input into the geometry and handling characteristics of the bikes as well.
According to the white paper, Colnago have come up with these top secret methods for measuring the stiffness of the frames, both in the saddle and out the saddle as well, because that kind of places different loads on the frame.
Yeah, they've been quite secretive about it though, and they're not showing how they've done it because they believe that their techniques are more dynamic and superior to existing stiffness tests that are used, such as the Zedler test, which only measures a single force component with a static load. So being able to measure the stiffness in the way that they're doing it, they believe that's valuable intellectual property for the brand.
According to Colnago, the V4RS is 4% stiffer out the saddle sprinting and 5% stiffer in the saddle, which is pretty cool. But is there anything else?
Yeah, just the sizing is more linear now on the new one. So that's why I think in the weight section where it was a 50 centimetre on the previous one versus a 48.5, that's because the new sizes are just progressed more linear, so
nice.
More consistent differences between each one.
Right, there's only one thing left to do, Ollie.
What's that?
Take a picture for the bike, of course, with my shadow stand.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this first look at the new V4RS. Let us know what you think about it in the comment section, and if you'd go for this or the C68. And well, if you'd like to know more about Colnago, we've got an exclusive premium documentary on GCN Plus all about the history of the brand, so you can check that out. It's available worldwide as well. So yes, even you, New Zealand, you get to watch it too.
Ollie, can you just check everything is lined up properly?
Yeah, looks good.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Love you, bye.